Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I got a late start today because I think I told you last week I had to fix a flat. My wife's tire had an air leak in it, and so I took her to get I hate when this happens. I took her to get the tire patched, and when they did it, they didn't turn the computer. They didn't reset the computer in the car, so that it wasn't still showing that it was had a leak or some kind of thing like that. So I had to take it back to them and get them to reset the thing. So 2 trips. But the good news is they didn't charge me the second time, and so that's a good thing. Now, I've been telling you all about what I've been doing with Masterworks.io. I've been buying, for the first time in my life, I've been buying into artwork because they've now securitized this artwork so that I can buy into, like, for instance, a Mona Lisa, and they go out and they buy these pieces of artwork, and then they divide them up into shares, and they're like $20 a share, and it's as little as $500. I'm going to put the link to this in the very top of the description, but I've got a short clip from their CEO. He describes exactly why I'm investing in this stuff, and I wanted you to see this. Watch this.
Thesis is that if you look at the performance of contemporary art, and contemporary art is narrowly defined as art created after World War II, so that of the past 75 years, that segment of the art market has appreciated 14% a year from 1995 through present, right? So from an appreciation rate perspective, it's really interesting. From a diversification perspective, it's even more interesting because art prices do not necessarily trend in the same direction as public equities. So if you have 60% of your investment portfolio allocated to stocks, and if you're like me, you're concerned that the public equity valuations are overheated, then if public equities fall, art prices may not fall. And I think that's the most interesting thing about the characteristics of the asset class today. It's a global asset class. You can buy a painting in New York, you can put it on a plane, you can sell it in Hong Kong. The US is only 25% of the art market, so your concentration on any specific country is somewhat limited. We just think it's a really interesting asset class that acts as a diversifier, just like you would think about real estate, or some people think about gold, or some people in today's world think about crypto. We just think it should be part of an investment portfolio.
This is the thought pattern that's going. Here's what my goals are. Paid for real estate. Okay, that's one of my goals. Buying gold. I've been buying crypto, XRP, XLM mainly. That's pretty. I think right now, I think I have a little bit of Ethereum. Believe it or not, that I do have some Ethereum just as a hedge, more or less. But let's see, gold, paid for real estate, crypto, probably silver I would throw in there, and then Masterworks. I'm buying art because it's an allocation. It's getting exposure to a new asset class. I don't know if they call it a class or not, but a new asset that I haven't been able to get exposure to, that especially in these uncertain times when CNBC is talking about the stock market collapsing, it might go in a different direction. And that's you got to think like that in these kind of times. All right, moving along. Now, James Phelan put this out. Ripple and the individual defendants request an extension of time until Monday, March 22nd, to respond to the SEC's letter claiming that District Judge Torres' ruling makes Hinman emails and the Estabrook notes irrelevant. Oh, yeah, sure. Now, I tweeted this out. I think library.com, if that's what you call them, is realizing there's no choice but to publicly fight back. Our government has turned on the people. None of us wanted to be in this position. We just want a future for our children, and we will fight for it if necessary. John Deaton weighed in. He says, I'm astonished that industry leaders, Blockchain Association, Chamber of Digital Commerce, haven't been more vocal about the library case. Ripple is a major player and has deeper pockets to defend with. XRP market cap 37 billion, LBC is 20 million. I'd say there's a market and a need for a decentralized, uncensored alternative to YouTube. It's sad. Okay, moving along. Jake Chervinsky of the Blockchain Association, he said he spent a couple of days with the Blockchain Association family in Austin at SXSW. Great time, great city, awesome people. Looking forward to coming back in a few months for Consensus 2022. And Matt Hamilton from Ripple says, did you get a chance to swing by the Ripple house at all? So here's Ripple representing NFT. Ripple and them are there, and they had a booth and the whole thing. NFTs on the XRP ledger is what they were showing. Where's this guy who's supposed to represent the entire industry? Well, he's a Bitcoin and Ethereum guy, and there's no indication that the Blockchain Association is in support of anything but that. And so far, we don't have any indication that he even wanted to see what Ripple had going on. How can you be in a blockchain association? How do you represent the industry if you're anti one of the major players in the industry? I thought you represented the industry. These people, I tell you what, no shame. And speaking of no shame, Joseph Lubin, I think we showed you yesterday, he had tweeted, we've long maintained a significant treasury of Ethereum. And John Deaton locked in on it. He says, without inside info, I would advise not bragging about maintaining a significant treasury of Ethereum and DeFi tokens when everyone knows those tokens get sold to help upgrade the network. Ripple and Library got sued over it. He must 100% believe the regulatory free pass is permanent. And then Library weighed in, and they're making it clear they're not trying to throw anybody under the bus. They just don't understand, like all of us. They said, we're not trying to get anyone in trouble, but this is literally what we're being sued by the SEC for. Hard not to believe there is some corruption involved when Ethereum can state this openly in 2022 without penalty. Exactly. And then Santiago Velez says, I know something you don't know. Inversion is coming, and retweets that Joseph Lubin is excited to share about his Series D fundraise. Santiago Velez is a pretty sophisticated guy, and he's not like anti-Ethereum or whatever. And when I saw this, I was like, whoa, what does he know? Because he's been on with like Raoul Paul and people like that know things. So I'm curious as to what he's talking about there. Now, we played this video last week. It's only 44 seconds. You need to watch it again so you'll understand what I'm saying here.
Well,
this guy's name is Arthur Falls. He used to be with Consensus.
Well, the shareholders of Consensus AG have missed out on their fair share of that $3.3 billion. Recently, there's rumors that Consensus is raising, Consensus Software Incorporated is again raising at a $7 billion valuation. Now, if that transaction was illegal, then unfortunately all of those parties have invested in a company that does not own the intellectual property that it claims to. What we want to see, someone's been ripped off here. Either it's the people who have invested in Consensus Software Incorporated, or it's the original shareholders. And Joe Lubin needs to make these people whole.
Now, here's my question, folks, because yesterday Joseph Lubin is bragging about how Consensus closed a $450 million financing round. And my question, I don't care if you're closing on a house. If you're closing on a house and you're getting a mortgage, that mortgage company looks into your finances left and right. How about if you're trying to close on $450 million? How do you close on $450 million without explaining to those guys or making them feel comfortable with what's going on here? What in the world is going on? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, I looked into, he also tweeted yesterday that this Capital led the raise. So I went and looked at their website, and it turns out they've got a lot of leading asset managers. They've got a lot of people with them that come from JP Morgan. Also, Mike Novogratz Galaxy Digital is one of the investors in Verify. Found those things interesting. Now, Folks, let me ask you a question. Is there a mutiny at the SEC? Is there a mutiny? You know, a mutiny refers to the old pirate days, I guess, or on ships where they either lost faith in the ship captain or whatever. My question is, how could the people at the SEC have not lost faith in Gary Gensler? Because he just flat out speaks and says things that just aren't so. And how many of these people want to hitch their career wagon to this guy is my question. Well, apparently this guy doesn't want to anymore. This guy's this crypto law, John Deaton's law firm, says outgoing SEC advisory committee member fires off criticism to Gary Gensler on his handling of digital assets as he leaves his position. This is the same J.W. Verrett who said in May 2021 that the SEC should drop its litigation against Ripple over XRP and has forcefully criticized the agency's regulation by enforcement policy in crypto. Everything you're about to hear is on a call with Gary Gensler. Watch this.
Back to the SEC's regulation of digital assets, I want to urge the SEC to consider the proposal I offered by way of a public rulemaking proposal for the SEC to open public comment with respect to digital asset regulation. Doesn't commit the SEC to doing anything, but my digital asset regulation Genesis block proposal would offer the commission the collective wisdom of crypto lawyers, digital asset lawyers who've been working diligently on these issues. We encountered that nuance in our IAC hearing on this. I encounter it in my securities law regulation course. Look, on the one hand, it's ridiculous for the 33 Act to treat miners and node operators as underwriters, or to apply cookie cutter proxy rules to the voting of governance tokens in a DeFi protocol. On the other hand, I think a lot of people in the digital asset and crypto communities would love to see standardized disclosure about tokenomics and about auditing of smart contracts in a particular project. I think the digital asset regulation Genesis block proposal can help the SEC to achieve that and ultimately help digital asset owners like me rather than threaten the value of their interests with over application of the Howey test. And so I hope that my proposal would get sincere consideration. Thank you again. I will miss all of you. I will still heckle the IEC from the sidelines. Just kidding. But I will be here. I will be writing in some comment letters, and I won't be far. So I hope you will all stay close and stay in touch.
All right. I'm not going to play the part where Gary Gensler comes in and responds to him yet. Okay, he comes in right here, but I want to make a point because first I want to show you what he said. He says, upon my term ending on the SEC's advisory committee last week, I took a chance to give Chair Gensler some strong words about his abuse of digital assets. Check out Gensler's response. I want to join the fight for digital asset freedom and the many folks that have been fighting a long time on these issues, like Jerry Brito, who will not support John Deaton or Ripple, Kristen Smith, who's with the block. He's with Coin Center, okay? Coin Center. They've shown no support for Ripple or for John Deaton. Kristen Smith, Blockchain Association. They've shown no support for Ripple or for John Deaton. And the Jake Chervinsky, you know all about him. Same thing. This person, I don't know. Well, maybe we need to look into them too. But these there is some, but I do think this guy's one of the good guys. Okay. But these people owe it to the industry to stand up for Ripple. I'll keep saying that. We're going to stay on them. Now, back to what I was saying. Look, folks, there's one thing I'm good at, and that's reading people. And at the 1:30 mark, I've been watching video and observing this Gary Gensler guy. This is an angry little man, folks, and I do mean little man. This is a guy who probably got these are my impressions and just my opinion, but I'm just saying there are people among us who got picked on as a kid, and they carry around their little man complex for the rest of their life. This guy's an angry guy, and what I said here is true. I've observed him a lot. At the 1:30 mark, this is where he shows himself. He's one of these passive aggressive people, and this is why I think he's such a good tool for some of these bad guys. Is he's one of these passive aggressive guys, and he's taught himself to cover up the bad guy that he is by sugarcoating it with all these fake, false pleasantries that he gives everybody. In other words, they take a shot at him and he doesn't shoot back. Instead, he says, "Oh, well, I appreciate your debate, and I've really enjoyed your debates, even though we disagree sometimes." But he's really a snake in the grass. That's what we're dealing with. And that's why I'm asking you. These people obviously know what they're dealing with. They're leaving and they know what they're dealing with. This guy's a snake and they know it. They smell a freaking rat. Maybe he's a rat snake. I don't know. But watch the last 30. Because I think some of these government bureaucratic pawns of Wall Street, I think some of them are literally trained to do this, to kill you with all the pleasantries while they slit your throat behind closed doors. That's how I think they're trained.
Can I just, Chris, Paul and JW, I hope that you're not going to go that far away, and we can only help you a long and healthy life, JW, because your input, even if sometimes we disagree, I've found your input, and I look forward to hearing more, is always informs the debate and is it's thoughtful and so keep coming to us with the issues on competition. By the way,
it reminds me of what Nancy Wotas said one time on stage. She was talking about how when you go to the SEC, and this is what they do. This is how it works. What they do is, "Oh, come on, this is Gary. Come on in and see us." And then what they do is they put your file, after they get as much information as they can from you, they put your file in the stack. Then they spend the next year killing you with 1,000 paper cuts and then suing you. Okay? And making you think that you're making progress when you're not. And it's by design. And this, my friends, is not the United States of America that I want my children to grow up in. Something needs to be done. Where are the good guys? That's what we got to keep asking. Where are the good guys? Warren Davidson, I consider to be one of the good guys in Congress, but it's not good enough to be a good guy and say, "Oh yeah, we need legislation." This country is beyond that, folks. This industry is beyond that. We need legislation, but we also need somebody to root out all of the evildoers and root out and stand up and grow a set, stand up and call them out. Put them in front of Congress and don't let them get away with the pleasantries and the BS. Make them do their job and represent the people of the United States. And the people of crypto, the people in this industry, like the library guy that was on with John Deaton. These people want to play by the rules. They just want to know what the freaking rules are. And you got these kind of worms that are sent there to kill them with 1,000 paper cuts and to not let there be progress. This is a problem. It's not good enough, Warren Davidson, to just do the legislation. You got to root out these people. You got to get them out of this government. If you want to have a country, you got to. They got to be gone. It can't be like this. And have the United States be one of the countries that's leading in anything. Okay? So I wanted to point out, I go back, is there an SEC mutiny afoot? Okay? And I pointed this out, outgoing SEC Advisory Committee member shouts out John Deaton, the same guy in that video, tweeted this. He says, "Don't forget about Dre," which is a reference to Dr. Dre and rap. I love Dr. Dre. But he says John Deaton is a gladiator. So think this through. You've got an SEC Advisory Committee member who not only on video and then tweeting takes shots at Gary Gensler, but then he gives a shout out to the guy who is suing the SEC. If that's not a mutiny, I don't know what is. And if it was just him, it'd be one thing. Now, Allison Heron Lee has not been one of the good guys by any means, but she wants out for some reason, right? And then not more than a few months ago, December 20th, Elad Roisman resigned. And then remember this, this is from Eleanor Terrett, where she's talking about Hester Pierce tells Fox Business she heartily disagrees with Gary Gensler, notion that crypto is destined to fail without government intervention. Then there was this from a week ago. Hester Pierce has expressed privately, a source close to the SEC tells me Hester Pierce expressed privately she thinks the SEC will not get the outcome it's looking for. And you'll remember this old gem. This is from Thinking Crypto. Go give him a subscribe, where she said this.
Too. So I do think that is a roadblock, and I hope we can get past that.
Now, I'm going to ask a question, and it might be a bit awkward because Chairman Gensler is your boss.
He's not my boss.
Oh, well, I apologize. How does that dynamic work? And I think maybe a lot of us people listening will probably need to be educated on that.
Yeah, no, it can be very complicated from the outside because our agency is set up a little bit differently than some of the other agencies in government. So it is true that Gary Gensler is the chair of the SEC, which means that he sets the agenda, the staff reports to him. He does a lot of the operational work at the SEC, and certainly, he has more power over what the agency does than the rest of us. But there are 5 commissioners, and so
all right, you don't need to hear any more of that, but you get the picture. He's not her boss. And if there's not a mutiny, there should be. There should have been months ago, because what's going on is a sham, folks, for a lot of reasons. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that it's not good enough to just pass some crypto legislation. You've got to root out the bad guys out of this government, because there's a lot of them. They got to go for our children's sake.